So let's say you're in the clinic and you have a patient who have metastatic clear cell renal cell cancer, and you want to review their treatment options. So we have 3 immunotherapy plus tyrosine kinase inhibitor combinations that are category 1 for metastatic clear cell RCC. And this applies across all the IMDC risk groups. We have pembrolizumab plus axitinib, pembrolizumab plus lenvatinib, and nivolumab plus cabozantinib. There is no head-to-head data that exists between them, so you are choosing based on the trial population, the toxicity profile, and what your specific patient can tolerate. So this is how we can think through these 3 options. Let's start with pembrolizumab plus axitinib. So this was studied in the Keynote 426. This is a randomized trial. They brought 861 patients, and they randomized them either to get a pembrolizumab at 200 mg every 3 weeks plus axitinib at 5 mg twice daily, and the other arm was sunitinib. Pembrolizumab axitinib showed a superior overall survival, progression-free survival, and objective response rate across all the IMDC risk groups and all PD-L1 expression levels. At 4-year follow-up, the median overall survival was 45 months in the combination arm versus 40 months with sunitinib. Axitinib is considered one of the most titratable TKIs among the 3. We will talk about this in a second. But then we have another option, is pembrolizumab and lenvatinib. So this was studied in the CLEAR trial. In the CLEAR trial, they randomized patients to either receive pembrolizumab at 200 mg every 3 weeks plus lenvatinib at 20 mg daily, versus the other arm was sunitinib. And they had 1,069 patients. Pembrolizumab lenvatinib produced the highest objective response rates of the 3 IO plus TKI combinations. So the objective response rate was 71%. A median progression-free survival was 23 months versus 9.2 months in sunitinib. But the trade-off when it comes to lenvatinib is the toxicity. So we have to keep in mind that the grade 3 or higher adverse events occurred in 82% of patients on combination arm. Dose reduction of lenvatinib is common and expected, and we have to counsel patients about, and they have to expect this, and they should not call it a treatment failure. Then we have the CheckMate 9ER. So the CheckMate 9ER randomized 651 patients to nivolumab at 240 mg every 2 weeks plus cabozantinib at 40 mg daily, and in the other arm was sunitinib. The combination showed there was a superior progression-free survival, 16.6 months versus 8.3 months, and overall survival as well. Cabozantinib targets not only vascular endothelial growth factor receptor, but also it targets METs and AXL, which might provide additional activity in bone metastases in tumors with MET-driven resistance as well. Cabozantinib at 40 mg in combination is already a reduced dose from the 60 mg single agent when it is given in other cancers. You might see that cabozantinib can be used in other cancers, for example, neuroendocrine tumor. Let's talk about now the TKI doses. The dose matters here. When we interpret the trials and when we start patients on these tyrosine kinase inhibitors or TKIs. As I mentioned earlier, cabozantinib is at reduced dose, 40 mg, when we combine it with immunotherapy. Lenvatinib, the combination with immunotherapy, is 20 mg daily. And many patients sometimes even require a dose reduction to 14 or even 10 mg. On the other hand, axitinib, you can start at 5 mg twice daily, and you can up titrate up to 7 or 10 mg if it is tolerated without causing high blood pressure. So it's important to know these starting doses, and you will notice that in other cancers, when we use TKI on its own, you will have different doses. Now let's talk about the objective response rate. So in patients who have rapidly progressive disease, or they have a large tumor burden and they have significant symptoms, so you need a drug that produces the highest objective response rate. And here, lenvatinib with pembrolizumab is a good option. Then, if you look at the patient comorbidities, this also will help you to choose the appropriate treatment. Patients' comorbidities meaningfully inform the TKI partner selection. Patients who have pre-existing high blood pressure that is difficult to control may fare better on axitinib or cabozantinib rather than lenvatinib, because lenvatinib can cause hypertension, and sometimes hypertension management with lenvatinib can be complex. Patients with significant baseline GI issues also may tolerate axitinib better than cabozantinib or lenvatinib, given that axitinib has lower GI toxicity. Patients with bone metastasis may benefit from cabozantinib because it has additional MET and AXL activity. So comorbidities of the patient really helps you to choose the appropriate treatment. Now let's talk about the side effects of each one of them. So lenvatinib, as I mentioned earlier, hypertension is universal and often requires 2 or more antihypertensive agents. So you have to optimize lenvatinib when it comes to high blood pressure. And then the other thing is diarrhea and nausea are common when it comes to lenvatinib, so you have also to consider adding supportive medications, and you might reduce the dose. And this is a common board question where they ask you if you have a patient with diarrhea, what would you do next? Depending on the diarrhea grade, you might decrease the dose or hold. And then, this is an important side effect, fatigue. Fatigue is very dose dependent and may require a structured dose reduction schedule. And it's something to keep in mind. Because when you have a patient on a TKI and immunotherapy and they are having fatigue, you should also always consider adrenal insufficiency as differential diagnosis. And then let's talk about cabozantinib. Cabozantinib at 40 milligrams is generally well tolerated, but one of the important side effects to keep in mind is palmar-plantar erythrodysesthesia or hand-foot skin reaction. It's one of the most common dose-limiting toxicities. And to prevent it, you can start a urea-based moisturizer and recommend a footwear modification from day one. Also, cabozantinib can lead to GI toxicity and diarrhea and mucositis. If grade 2 or higher hand-foot skin reaction happens, you can hold and or reduce to 20 milligrams. Wound healing complications also are relevant, so you have to hold cabozantinib at least 28 days before elective surgery, something to keep in mind. Now, when we put patients on immunotherapy and TKI, we have to monitor them. For immunotherapies, you have to monitor for adrenal insufficiency, liver failure, or autoimmune hepatitis, autoimmune pneumonitis, and pyroiditis. When it comes to immunotherapy, high blood pressure, hand-foot skin reaction, diarrhea, these are common side effects to monitor. You have 2 side effects that can happen with immunotherapy and TKIs. One is hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism can happen with immunotherapy due to the autoimmune activation, and or it can happen also from lenvatinib. Remember that lenvatinib, or in general TKIs, affect the vascular endothelial growth factor receptor pathway, and the thyroid gland has lots of vessels and vasculature. So lenvatinib, or generally TKIs, can lead to hypothyroidism. And then on the other hand, also, when patients are on TKIs, you have to monitor their liver function, and some clinicians might or might not do also urine analysis. And the same concept applies for TKIs or other vascular endothelial growth factor receptor inhibitors like bevacizumab. Some clinicians might do urine analysis. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, fatigue can happen from TKI or IO. So you have to keep adrenal insufficiency always in your differential diagnosis box when you have a patient presenting with fatigue, and you have to check their morning cortisol. So as I mentioned earlier, like all 3 immunotherapy plus TKI combinations are category 1. We have pembrolizumab axitinib, which offers lots of follow-up data and it's titratable. On the other hand, we have a pembrolizumab lenvatinib, which offers the highest objective response rate. And then we have nivolumab cabozantinib, which is also well tolerated, and it's very useful if you have bone mets. No combination is universally superior, so you have to keep that in mind. So you always have to choose the regime based on the pace of the disease, the patient comorbidities, and their ability to manage TKI side effects.